welcome to the Games Etc. podcast. Yay. I'm here with our favorite Kiwi, Novacanoo,
That's
aka
me.
Jake,
Hey.
aka that's it. I don't know if there's no other names we've given you.
Uh,
Today we're talking about not just one game, not just two games. We're talking about, if I'm correct, we're talking about Sonic the Hedgehog 1, 2, CD, 3, Knuckles. What's after that? Does it go straight to Generations?
Mania and Generations.
Yeah, Generations and Mania. So 7 games if you count Knuckles as its own game. Yeah, all from different various years. I'm not going to list that out. By the Sonic team. Is that who develops them? I don't know. Sega in general?
By Yuji Naka and it's just by himself. He did it.
Just him. Yeah, he did it all alone. And I guess those focus testers with the concept art and stuff. But and then who worked on Mania?
Oh god. Christian Whitehead and his team, which I think is called Headcanon. No,
Yes.
Headcanon is Stealth. Christian Whitehead and Stealth, who runs Headcanon. There you go.
Oh, okay. Because I remember the Headcanon logo being
Yeah.
in the game, because that's a good logo.
It is. You're right.
Yeah.
First take. We've got our first take. The Headcanon logo
Headcanon
is
logo?
good.
That's a good fucking logo. Good job.
Yeah.
Some good graphic design. Shit, one sec. I'm having a monster because, I mean, it's not that late, but whenever I talk to you, it's always fucking late and I'm falling asleep. I've been falling asleep playing games recently. It's bad.
God.
I'm getting old. I was playing Proteus. Do you know that one?
I do. The soundtrack is really good. The Andrew Hirschholt is really good.
Yeah, it's very Doom 2016, right? Like
Yeah.
that whole game. But
Yeah.
but yeah, it's quite empowering, but also, tense. But yeah, I fell asleep to that shit. I was like literally like doing platforming, and I'm just running into the wall for like a minute, and I wake up and I'm like, oh Jesus Christ. Anyway, that's to say I need caffeine really late.
Right. So we're
Monster
drinking Monster and podcasting about Sonic.
Yeah, real fucking
Salt of the earth, lads.
we're real well-adjusted human beings.
Yeah.
So why did you want to talk about Sonic?
Right. Yeah. So there's this. I have had a video idea kicking around for years, which I don't want to make because I'm not interested in. I mean, I'm not ever sure if I will make another video, but in particular, I have no interest in having a Sonic video. Like, just in general, I don't want to have made a Sonic video. So,
is that like you don't want to draw that attention? Or
I mean, it's so like fucking like when they showed Sonic Frontiers, it was like, oh come on, like it's like, what is the point? It's like they couldn't even make a good trailer, like every like fucking like every single game preview, right, is like, oh, it could be good. Like you go on IGN or whatever and you see preview for fucking Balan Wonderworld, and it's like at that point in the preview cycle, everyone just says, oh, it could be good. But the first thing they show for Sonic Frontiers looks fucking abysmal. And it's it's like I guess maybe that helps to like spell out why I don't want to have made a Sonic video. Like I just
like it feels like low-hanging fruit. Is that the idea?
Sort of, yeah. I guess it's like it's just gauche to even fucking talk about it anymore, Like,
yeah, right. It's 2022. Like we've done this.
Yeah. So But what this video idea was basically the last time that I replayed the all the 2D Sonics, I kind of realized that each game has actually very different level design. And there's not really, like, people say classic Sonic level design works a certain way, and really what they're talking about is, like, Green Hill and half of Sonic 2, and, like, and it actually diverges quite a bit between the games, and so I wanted to make this sort of clickbaity video. I would have called it something, like there is no such thing as classic Sonic level design, or classic Sonic does not exist, or something like this, something really attention grabbing. But basically we're talking about all these games because I wanted to go explore my unpublished idea here instead. I guess, the thesis being that, like, Sonic Mania, I only like about the first third, maybe even just the first quarter of Sonic Mania. And
really?
It's because Sonic Mania, by design, has all of the different types of level design from all of the classic Sonic games. And only the first third or so plays like Sonic 2, which is my favorite one. So I'll be interested to see if you agree with me on this. I guess, just to lay the groundwork, I feel that Sonic 1 it has this fantastic, like, Sonic, like, this fantastic level in Green Hill, which is, like, all the perfect Sonic stuff distilled into this opening level, and they nailed it immediately first try with, like,
it's the Mario 1-1, right?
Yeah. You go fast, and if you can react quick enough, or if you already know the level, you can keep going fast, and you can get to faster routes, which are generally towards the top of the level, and then if you fail to read the tells, or if you don't know the level, then you fall to the bottom, which is slower. And that's great. That's fantastic. But then most of the rest of Sonic 1 is just any 2D platformer with speed gimmicks. Like, most of the time, you jump around like Mario at a fairly Mario-ish pace, and then sometimes the game gives you a little bit of, like, flats to go fast. I mean, that's not 100% of the case. I'm making generalizations for the sake of, we've got 5 different 2D Sonic games to discuss. But for the most part, that's how Sonic 1 comes across, right? It's like everyone loves Green Hill, and then Marble Zone is just this foot on the brake, like, most replays of Sonic 1 just end there. Most people just wanted to replay, I want to say, maybe it's just me, but whenever I play Sonic 1, it's like, Green Hill is great, and then I get to Marble Zone, and it's like, oh, because it's like just a sort of average 2D platformer at that point, and there's not much else to recommend it until, like, Spring Yard Zone is a little bit faster again, and then Starlight Zone, oh no, and then it's Labyrinth Zone, which is like, oh no.
Fucking, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, so, let's see. Yeah, the water is just fucking agonizing. Like,
Yeah.
I think just inherently, I'm not a fan of Sonic's momentum and like the weight that Sonic has. Like, weirdly, for a fast dude, he feels really fat when you first start to move him, right? When you first push down the D-pad, and that's even worse underwater. Like, I really do not like how slow that feels.
I don't know
Labyrinth Zone.
I don't know if anyone likes Labyrinth Zone. Like, if please let us know if you like Labyrinth Zone, because I would love to find out that someone really likes Labyrinth Zone. That would be really funny. So moving on. So Sonic 2 is, from my perspective, Sonic 2 up until about Metropolis Zone, I think. So everything up until and including Mystic Cave is, I think, every single level is Green Hill in that same way, and it's fantastic. Yeah. I think that for the first 2/3 of that game... no, I think Oil Ocean is after Mystic Cave. But yeah, I just mean everything up to Mystic Cave. And everything in that game is like fucking fantastic. It's exactly what I want out of Sonic up until that point, right? It's like, it's the Green Hill, you go fast, the platforming that you do is kind of, you can do it while you're still going fast, if you know what I mean. Like, generally, you can go pretty fast, and you can press jump, and that's the platforming thing. You as you are running, you jump over something, and either you've missed or you've succeeded, and that will let you go faster or slower. And I think that is exactly what I want Sonic to be. So Sonic 2 is by far my favorite 2D Sonic. After
did you say Metropolis Zone is included or not included?
Not included. Ocean.
Yeah, fuck Metropolis Zone. Anyway.
Oil Ocean onwards. So I think it's Oil Ocean and then Metropolis and then the end of the game. That stuff, not so much. I don't love that. Most of my replays end at after Mystic Cave. So
I don't think Oil Ocean is that bad, but yeah, okay.
So Sonic 3 and Knuckles, I think, has a fundamental difference from Sonic 2. So where Sonic 2 was like, if you know the levels, you can keep going fast the whole time.
Yeah.
I think Sonic 3 is much more inclined to, it has you go fast for a while, and there's some fast platforming in there, but often it will actually bring you to a stop and have you do a little bit of like more finicky platforming, like I was saying with Sonic 1. It will kind of bring you to a slow, have you do a bit of platforming, and then how well you do in that bit will be how you like that determines if you get to come out on the fast path or the slow path. And so basically my key takeaway there is like, Sonic 3 and Knuckles slows you down for the parts which are going to send you faster or slower, whereas Sonic 2 doesn't slow you down. It's just like, can you react to this? Do you already know the level? And then you just jump and you're on you just keep it. You keep all your momentum. You're still going. And I encourage people to like boot up Sonic 3 and like play 2 or 3 levels and see what they think about that theory, because I do think it's noticeable. Like, after you figure out what it is, like, that game feels a lot slower, even though most of the time you're going just as fast as Sonic 2. It just brings you to a stop more often. And so Mania is this amalgamation of all of that, all of those different types of level design. And I think that the Sonic 2 style level design ends probably at Mirage Saloon Zone, somewhere around there. And then the back 2/3 of the game are definitely leaning more into the Sonic 3 style, where you are slowed down for platforming every so often. And your skill at that determines how fast you get to go in the next bit. And that's kind of... Those are my observations. That's why I think that each game has significantly different level design ethos, and that making a game like Sonic Mania, where it's like, oh, we're going to do classic Sonic again, actually, you're going to please some people and disappoint some others, because I would have loved just Sonic 2 style level design all the way through. I would have just I would love a game where every single level was Green Hill, and it really didn't get, that game probably wouldn't be very difficult, but I don't feel like classic Sonic is where I go for, a nail-biting challenge. So, yeah.
And you think that 3 is more challenging? Like, I guess it's sort of...
I think
the way you're describing it, it sounds like it's more... not that 2 is like fully memorization based, but like 3 requires you to do a specific bit and then you get rewarded for it, whereas like 2, it's just sort of not rote memorization, but just being familiar, right? And that's what grants you the speed.
Yeah, like Sonic 2 is the most hold right to win of the games. Which is not to say that you can actually do that, but like it's you do that the most. And whereas Sonic 3 exactly is it's not harder, but it is more substantial. Like I have to imagine that if you looked at like D-pad presses per level, you would get more quick little left and right movements in Sonic 3 than you would in Sonic 2. Like if you mapped out sort of the button inputs, I think that Sonic 3 would be the more complicated of those two games to play. Which is different from being harder, but it is I guess that makes it more of it's more of an activity, isn't it? It's like there's more substance to it.
And that's not what you want.
And that's
want a substantive
I think that's exactly. I don't want substantive from Sonic because it's a game where you want to go really fast all the time, and that's the central bit. And so if the design is you go slower when you don't do very well, then I think the challenge should be minimal, right? Because Sonic isn't a series about going fast when you're succeeding. Sonic is just a series where everyone assumes and wants to go fast all the time. You don't, the promise of a Sonic game is not play this and if you do really well, you'll go fast. The promise of a Sonic game, I think, is like play this game and you'll go fast. And that's why I like Sonic 2 the most, I think.
I'm just so not good at these games that it feels to me like it's asking, the speed is the reward, right? Only a few times, definitely Sonic 2, I had those moments where it was like, oh yeah, especially in contrast to Sonic 1, where yeah, you are just kind of, you're plodding along. You're, like I was watching a playthrough, like a pretty competent playthrough. Like they got a super high score in Sonic 1, and like they're not going fast. Like they're going a decent pace. They just don't get hit. That's kind of the only thing. Whereas 2, like, and I know 1 has like a limitation on the speed you can gain. Like there's sort of a cap to how fast you can go. Whereas 2, it's like, holy shit, like you can feel how fast you go. I'm trying to see which, yeah, Chemical Plant Zone. I wrote like, finally some good fucking speed, like fucking Gordon Ramsay here. Like, holy shit. Like I actually felt the limits of the game where you're like flying up in the air and shit, and you can't see your character until like 4 seconds later when you fall, because you're so high and moving so fast.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've never beaten a Sonic game before I played these. So this is the most Sonic I've ever played in my life. Besides, I guess, Sonic 06, I played through the Sonic campaign of that.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I mean, that's like a rite of passage. So I don't have, you have like how many hours in Generations? Like 40 fucking hours or some shit. Maybe it's only like 25, 30, but I don't have this experience. So yeah, again, to me, it's just like all of this requires some level of skill. I have to earn every moment I get, and a lot of the times it feels like they're just shitting on me. Like in Sonic 1, there's like, you'll be rolling and then this other blue ball dude just randomly comes at you. There's no way to know he's going to come, and he knocks your ass over and you lose all your fucking rings.
Yes.
And there's nothing, it's amazing. I don't think I've been as angry in any game getting hit as I have in a Sonic game. Like losing all those rings and just seeing it spill out of you, and your stupid Sonic face is like, duh! And everything bounces away from you. It sucks so bad. Like they really, like, they just they nail you. They hit you so hard with the failure. I can't imagine. So I played most of these emulation. I don't have a Genesis. I'm sorry. So my TV doesn't even have fucking RCA or whatever. RCA, right? RCA cable inputs. So I just emulated, and I save stated because I wanted to get through it in a reasonable amount of time. And I don't think I could have done it any other way, especially because, I mean, if you're saying you drop out at some points in these games, like, the fuck, I was never going to get through them without a little help. I don't know if you save state, or are you a purist, or you just don't need it?
I can't imagine ever needing, like, I can't imagine game overing in Sonic, but to be fair, like, Sonic 2 was like the first console game I ever played. My cousins gave me their Genesis and like 30 games, but the only one of those games that was any good at all was Sonic 2.
Yeah, I feel like the Genesis had mostly garbage. Like, just as a kid who would like go to a friend's house and he had Genesis games, like, ew, what? Batman and Robin? Ugh.
We had this fucking Terminator 2 game that was and of course I hadn't seen Terminator 2 when I was like 6. Right. And the only memory I have is like not being able to get past the first fucking screen. Like, I would have to go back and look and see if I was just an idiot or if it was I don't know.
I'm sure it was a mix of not wanting to read directions. I'm sure you could read maybe okay. Not wanting to read directions, and just kind of obtuse design and it being kind of shitty. Don't sell yourself out too quickly. But
so the reason that I asked you to play Sonic Generations as well. Actually, what did you think of Sonic Generations?
So, man, I have to be very honest. I feel really bad, but like it's hard for me to even distinguish the differences between any of the levels in any of these games, because like I did it so quickly, and I don't know, platformers really don't stick in my brain that well. Like I would have needed to take really detailed notes to remember exactly what I was doing. So like honestly, you're gonna have to lead a discussion here, because I'm so brain dead when it comes to these games. What?
You don't remember the only one of these that was a 3D game?
No, I know, I remember it obviously. But like the what makes it unique is like what makes Generations unique besides having 3D levels, which we don't really have to discuss. I guess that's not pertinent. Like being able, they line up enemies pretty well for you to like hop on and kill. That was cool. I guess there were some Sonic Colors abilities in the later levels, which I actually appreciated, like the pink spike thing that you would like run on the walls and shit. I kind of thought that was cool. I think Generations is more interesting for the meta level stuff, right? Like how it does its challenges and how it like does its like how it feeds you the content, right? It's like, all right, if you do this challenge, you have to do it in a certain time, or you have to use this ability or whatever. Like, I think that's neat,
Well, the reason that I wanted to include Generations in this discussion was like, I think Generations is the closest that Sonic has ever come to the Sonic 2 design
that you want,
that I want, but in 3D, right? Like I can't really remember what the fucking 2D levels in Sonic Generations are like. I feel like I don't want to replay them. Like they were probably fine, but I feel like they didn't stick in my mind either. But the 3D levels, I think, are like an absolutely perfect distillation of Sonic 2 as a 3D game. And it pisses me off to no end that Sega have never just done this formula again. Like the Sonic Generations.
They try.
Well, they did it once. They got it right. They got it right one time 10 years ago, and then like never really went back to that. Like, you can't tell me that Sonic Forces, for those who've played it, you can't tell me that Sonic Forces was a genuine, impassioned try to be as good as Sonic Generations. Like, no shot. Like, Sonic Forces is this limp dick, just, designed for a 3-year-old to beat it, which is fine because that lines up with the marketing of that game, where it's like, make Jake the Hedgehog,
Yeah.
And so anyway, so Generations, I think, is the 3D levels are like Sonic 2 because you can go really fast all the time.
Yeah.
And how fast you're going to beat the level, it pretty much, in 3D, it pretty much just depends on foreknowledge, right? It's like Sonic Generations is the most easily satisfying speedrunning game. It's like you don't have to be the fastest in the fucking world, but play the levels 4 or 5 times and learn the spots where you were just supposed to know to jump. And
right.
It's actually incredibly satisfying to do the whole level perfectly.
There are a lot of...
Yeah.
I was going to say, there are a lot of nice... There's a lot of good feedback. Like, like the automation of combat. I guess, like, it's not really combat, right? Like, there's enemies, but you use them to create chains to keep yourself moving and jump across gaps, or I don't know. It's almost like rhythmic in a way, right? Like, they'll be like, here's 3 bots, and you have to like tap A 3 times real quick and keep going. And There's that, and then like the rings that you can do tricks in, which kind of look lame, but like,
they do
always
kind of look lame, yeah.
Yeah, they're not animated great, but like there's all of these different, just these gimmies or these like little pieces of. I mean, it's all spectacle, right? Like that's what Sonic kind of needs to be, right? Is spectacle. At least that's what it feels like you're saying it should be. It should be sort of simple and just like fast. Like that's the novelty of it. That's what people want.
Yeah, I think Generations hits the nail on the head because it's like you can go fast the whole time. Like it no matter what path you're on, it very rarely slows you down. It's just that Generations is like, but what if you had hit that jump and then you could go even faster? And I am kind of going off. You said I have like 40 hours in Generations. I just looked it up. It's actually 80. And nice. Like most of that, like almost all of that, in fact, was when I was probably when it came out. So I was like, 14, right?
Okay.
But I do very much remember how much time I spent like trying to get like
S ranks and
or basically trying to get the absolute best path in each level. I do actually remember comparing my time in Green Hill to the leaderboards in the very, very early days, and I'm pretty sure I got like, before all the hackers came along, I'm pretty sure I got, not to the top of the leaderboards, but like within, 1 second or whatever. And it was like, there was only, I had gotten it to the point where there was basically nothing else to shave off. I was basically playing the level perfectly, and that's really the only time in my life that I've kind of understood the appeal of speedrunning something, and that's because it was so much more accessible than like fucking clipping through walls in Spyro for 50 minutes straight. Like you have these levels which are 2.5 minutes long, and it's really not that hard to contain it all in your brain, like if you've played the level a few times. And during all of that, you're right. During that whole learning process, there's also this huge spectacle that you're going really fast the whole time.
And it's in like you said, like it gives it to you at first, so that's what draws you in, right? Like you don't have to like. There's not a fucking uphill battle to even get to the fun.
Yeah, and I think that if the 2D Sonics were the only games this series had ever spawned, like people might have a different understanding, right? Like people might understand from that momentum system that those games have that Sonic is a game where you earn your speed, because like in those first games it is to a degree, right? It's like you have to rev up from being very, very slow from a stop, and once you're at top speed you need to platform to keep it. And I think that is the most true in Sonic 2, because it lets you keep it all the time if you're doing well. But I think that the later Sonic games have had a different understanding of that, and I don't really blame them, where it's more like, if you're playing a Sonic game, the central idea is you are going to go fast and also play a platformer, If a child can't play Sonic, if a child can't play Sonic Adventure or whatever and go fast, then the game is too hard. You know does that make sense? Like, because of how the games are presented and marketed, it's like you don't have to be particularly good at this game. Our main character just goes fast, and that's what you buy this for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sonic has a weird... My perception of Sonic is so fucked that, like, I don't even know who they tried to sell to. Like, I don't know who the demographics are. It's just, it's so singular and strange. But yeah, I think, probably, especially 3D onward, that is the intention or the hope that anyone can kind of just pick it up and play. And I mean, you know, there's a lot of gimmies. There's speed boosts. There's just straight and running sections that you can't be slow in, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that's definitely where they've pivoted to.
So yeah, in summary, I think that Sonic Generations is the closest to Sonic 2 in those 3D levels, because it's basically just memorize it and then you get to go really, really, really fast, and it's quite satisfying, even though you're not speed running it exactly. You're just playing a game that lets you go really fast, and you've gotten good at it, so you can go even faster. And I think you could maybe argue, you could find something in there, like maybe it taps into that speedrunning urge as a series without you having to like be that good at a game. But yeah, ultimately that's my take. Sonic, the old Sonic games all have quite significantly different level design, despite sharing the same controls, and Sonic Generations is the closest that 3D Sonic has come to Sonic 2, which is what I want. Yeah.
I wish I should have like asked you your take so I could have brought it into playing these games to like have a sort of have a lens, I guess, because and I guess part of it again is that I've played these for the first time, so I don't have such intimate knowledge with the levels to be like to really fully get your take. I apologize. But I feel like they, in some sense, they kind of do have a lot of similarities, at least from what I perceive, right? Like, well, one, they all have the same control scheme for the most part. One doesn't have the charge or the spin dash, right? Spin dash.
Yeah. Oh wow, you really were emulating. Yeah.
No, I wanted to make sure I played that one, you know, correctly, I guess, or not correctly, but without that, because I felt like that was, you know, that's a important part of the experience, is to not be able to fucking do that is it makes it a little fucking shitty. I'm sure Origins collection is a lot nicer, but yeah. But besides that, I mean, you just the D-pad and then you jump. That's pretty much it. Does 3 doesn't have like the jump charge, right? That Mania has. Mania, that's a unique thing to
It's
Mania?
a unique thing to Mania and the Origins collection as well. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So that's all the mechanics, right? Just move left and right. You can duck and look up and then jump and spin dash. Is that am I correct?
You are. Yeah.
So like all of the games have that, and then a lot of the levels, you know, when I think of platforming level design, you know, it's like the like what does the Marios do? You know, you have like the setup and then like the test and then the trial and, you know, like the combo or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know the fucking name of the shit. But like it feels like Sonic kind of doesn't do that. It just kind of gives you or maybe it does, and I just, you know, I haven't like looked that deeply into the level design and like analyzed and scrutinized every single moment. But it feels like, especially like one, because it's more obvious in one because there's three. Is that acts? Is there 3 acts in a level?
Yeah.
3 acts in a zone, right? That's the nomenclature. When there's 3 acts in a zone and like each act kind of has very similar segments, like they'll reuse different segments in each level. And like I think that's part of the memorization, right? Like they want you to memorize like, oh, here's that moment where like the thing, I don't know, I'm trying to think of one, but in any case, there'll always be moments that are like repeated, like almost motifs in a level, and not in the same way that a Mario thing is, where it's like, oh, here's the brick. All right, now you do the brick and you could die or whatever. It's just like, here's the thing, keep doing it, and like that's how you memorize the level. It's almost like it's almost like in the speedrunning sort of way. It's like, how do we get people to know these levels? Just make them do the same thing over and over again. And with slight variations, obviously, but like it doesn't have that same narrative structure that I feel like a Mario level has. I don't know if you agree or disagree with what I'm saying.
No, yeah, it feels a lot less holistic. Yes, it's like the levels sort of feel like, okay, and then there's this, and then there's this, and then there's this thing, and then you did it. Look at you, you did it. You jumped over the whole. Enough times.
Pretty much. And that's why it feels hard to remember, because it's just like you kind of just do the same thing over and over again, and it's like not super mechanically complex. Like it's just get around the thing, I guess, remember to jump, and that's that's why it's so hard for me to keep it in my head.
Which kind of comes back to what I was saying, right? It's like, I like Sonic 2 because it delivers best on the promise of letting you go fast, because it is not trying to be complicated with its platformer level design in a way that I feel Sonic 3 does try to be. It tries to be more like a Mario, right? It's trying to consider its own level design ethos and do something about it to make it feel more substantial, but it just absolutely does not have the quality of that Mario sort of 3-tier, 3-pillar, I don't know what you call it, but yeah, that sort of that Mario introduction, escalation, twist structure to its gimmicks. Sonic feels a lot more haphazard. It's just like without the speed gimmick, Sonic would just be another generic. Sonic would just be Kid Chameleon, right? Like some Genesis platformer that you know the name of, but you've never played, and it looks shit. Like,
right. I mean, I think Sonic has its art going for it, right? Like it's
art, I mean,
music, obviously.
Yeah, I guess without the presentational aspects, but yes, Sonic's. I think Aaron from Game Grumps said that Sonic is the best character design ever, because look at what it's survived. Look at what Sonic has survived just off that character design. And I think he's completely right,
Yeah. And like, yeah, I guess to the point of Sonic being a spectacle, like I think with like it is the art and the music and the speed that really sells it. Like I enjoy the act of playing the games to a degree, but I can't remember it because it's so. Maybe this is probably blasphemy. People are probably like, "Fuck up, Zach," and I don't know what I'm talking about. I really don't. I haven't played them enough. But yeah, it's like I like looking at the pretty colors, and that's kind of all I need, and that's all Sonic really needs to deliver to have it to be a good time. The dumber and prettier, the better. I just want a bimbo. I just want a bimbo of the game. That's what Sonic.
It is. I agree. It's like. like, there really must be something said for those physics, right? Those controls in those original games, because I agree with you, right, that, like, nothing in, like, I can't point to a piece of level design in Sonic and say, wow, that's really good and cool, and I love this level because it's, you know, I could do that for plenty of levels in Mario if I thought about it long enough, you know.
Right.
But for Sonic, like, there has to be something said for those controls, because I just find playing it really compelling, you know, like, it's in the sense of the word meaning addictive. Like,
Yeah.
I can play through that first 2/3 of Sonic 2 in maybe half an hour randomly on my phone, and I'll just enjoy it every single time, because I think that there is some quality to it that's like, it just keeps you going. Sonic 2, it just keeps you going at such a pace, and it's so enjoyable to control that you don't need, like, you don't need the level design brain going. You don't sort of need to be that stimulated by it, or at least I don't need to be that stimulated by it.
Intellectually stimulated. You can be aesthetically and, like, just kinesthetically
exactly kinesthetically
engaged,
pleased by it. I just enjoy holding right most of the time and pressing jump when I already know that I need to, and like,
seeing the colors go by.
And I think that is kind of why, like, I shy away from talking about Sonic for multiple reasons as a video essay, but, like, I do think that there is a sort of to steal a turn of phrase from Matthew Matosis, ineffable qualia. There is an ineffable qualia of Sonic, which I cannot tell you that I like those original 2D games because of some quantifiable level design or game design value. Like, I can't tell you that I loved Sonic 2 because I can point to this, and this that future developers should copy because it's really good. Like, it feels like it's not, you know? It, like, it feels like if Mario's exemplary level design in, like, you know, what was the last really good Mario game? Mario Galaxy.
I don't fucking know.
Mario.
Okay.
If Mario Galaxy 2 is like this, you know, perfect sort of teachable moment in gaming where it's like, yes, this is like the fucking shortcut to your brain's pleasure centers because of how well they've constructed their levels, then Sonic is just like, I don't fucking know, man. I just want to press a button and to feel like I've accomplished something. Like, you know, I, as much as I have just tried to, I don't think I could put into words why I enjoy the moment to moment, like, run and jump of Sonic.
Yeah. I think as I played all of them in a month, I got I felt it more. Like, I liked Mania, I guess, more than you. One, because I didn't know I didn't have this sort of idea about the level design in general compared to 2 and 3, but it was, one, these are levels that I was familiar with, right? So I got to experience some of what you get to, you know, when you've played these games over and over again. It's like, oh yeah, I've seen these levels.
Yeah.
So I mean, it was just like neat, like, oh, this is oil Zone, or I forget the name of the one. But, you know, it's like, oh, okay, here's how they kind of remixed it. But I also know, like, the sort of, the little gimmicks in here. And where was I going with this? Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, let me go back in my brain.
I almost wonder if part of the appeal is like, it's almost like you're being, you know, in curling, where like one person throws and then the rest of the team like comes along in front of it and scrubs the ice.
Yeah.
And I wonder if the appeal of Sonic is like somewhere in there, it's activating the same part of your brain that's like, get everything out of the way. This thing needs to keep going, you know? It's like fucking train wreck simulator.
yeah, avoiding a train wreck simulator. Yeah, I mean, I guess it's this tightrope walk of just like, please don't fuck up. And like, I mean, that's why losing your rings is one of the most miserable experiences beyond like getting your dick slammed in a door or something. Like, it just sucks so bad to stop, you know? And so it really incentivizes you to not suck. I still suck though. So it's hard. It's hard for me to fully enjoy it. But yeah, as I was saying, yeah, I played it enough. Sonic and Mania let me revisit levels, so I was sort of able eventually to be like, oh, okay, I kind of am almost compelled to play these for some reason. I think I started to feel that ineffable qualia that you had stated before over enough time. And like, I guess it's such a kid's game though, in the sense that like you kind of need to be like, oh, this is the only game I own and I have a lot of time to dedicate to it. That's what a kid's game is to me now. I'm starting to think about like, it's not about age rating. It's about like what game requires the most time of you, and only kids have that time. So like, this is a kid's game. Like Elden Ring is a perfect kid's game.
In a sense,
get lost in that shit. So Sonic, perfect kids game.
Yes, like if you're gonna play Sonic once, then I can fully understand why you would be one of those people who would say, "What the fuck? Sonic was never good." Like,
right.
And I think that's a perfectly valid position, right? Just as it is to say, well, I've played Sonic lots and therefore I love it because it's, it really got that right. It really got that. I've got this one game to play and it's great every single time because I get to sort of nail it every time. And
I feel like you kind of need to be like somehow manipulated into liking Sonic by the game itself. Like you need to somehow not trick yourself, but just like, how do you get it so that like if you're having a bad time all the way through your first playthrough, like how do you make yourself do it again to have more fun? Like it's such a weird, I don't know, it reminds me of like character action games, right? Where it's like, it's not fun until the second playthrough. It's like, how do we do that? How do we like just fucking trudge through? And I think some games are better at that than others. I think like Bayonetta is really good at letting you have fun even when you suck. But I'm sure there's other, like I'm sure DMC3 probably fucking feels like shit the first time through. Maybe not. I haven't beaten it. But yeah, it's this weird, like you gotta Stockholm syndrome yourself somehow.
Yeah, it's an interesting quality for a game to have, right? Because if you judged everything from the opposite perspective, like, I hated this game because I hated God of War 2018 because playing it more than once was an absolute fucking chore. And
exactly.
Like if you're in that kid scenario where it's like God of War 2018 is the only game that you have, then playing it over and over is going to be a nightmare because half of the cutscenes are like walking sections which are unskippable, I think.
Yeah. I think so, yeah.
And so yeah, it's funny to think about that. Like as adults we all want, like I would love for fucking Final Fantasy VII remake to be like 6 hours long, because there's no fucking shot that I'm gonna play that because it's 40 hours long. But I would really like to play it, you know?
Yeah. No, definitely. Yeah, exactly. You want that. I mean, that game looks pretty. You know, there's probably some good spectacle in there. But yeah, exactly. That's interesting to like people see it as, I think people see it as unfair to judge Sonic on a first playthrough, right? Like, do you think that's a common, like, for fans, like, I don't know. That's what I feel like people probably say. As a Sonic cynic myself, I'm like, it should be fun on the first try. And
yes.
Some people are like, no.
I think,
like, fuck you.
Yeah, I mean, you can, like, if someone doesn't enjoy something the first time, you can't ask them to, just play it again. You'll get it the second time. Like, maybe they would, but
I feel like, but that has to mean that it can't. Sonic cannot be interesting on a moment-to-moment basis if it requires a second playthrough to enjoy it because of, memorization and stuff like that, where it becomes this sort of, it's not zen, but like you're just kind of like it's happening and you get to enjoy just watching yourself run through it, you know.
I suppose maybe you could say that it's a game that the enjoyment of it comes 100% from satisfaction, and none of the enjoyment of it comes from experience, if that makes sense. Like, it's not...
I get it. It's a weird way of saying it, but I get it.
Like, it's not... maybe on a moment-to-moment basis, it's not very... I don't know. What am I trying to say? On a moment-to-moment basis, it's not very, like, interesting.
Yeah,
but
thought-provoking.
Thought-provoking,
I don't know.
But when you do hit the jump correctly, it's satisfying enough that you think that you just like playing it. Like,
it's all fucking manipulation, dude.
I don't know. I just,
ass is chewed out.
I think even if, dear listener, you disagree with my assessment at the start of the video about the level design, I think that you can see that there is an observation being made there, like, that everyone can understand what I'm saying, right? Like, Sonic 1 is slow, Sonic 2 is much faster. Yeah. Whereas when you actually ask me why Sonic is fun and satisfying to play on a moment-to-moment basis, I can't really distill it into words in the same way. And I don't really want to try, because I played Sonic 2 when I was 5 or 6, and it was the only halfway decent game I had, so I cannot judge that game from the perspective of someone playing it for the first time, right? Like, that's impossible, and I will never be able to do that, and I will never know how I felt playing it the first time, because that memory doesn't exist anymore for me. And so I guess the other reason that I wouldn't want to make a Sonic video is just that I don't really want to interrogate it. Like, I don't want to try to argue for, like, this is good because of these, like,
logical points.
Yeah, these logical points, these objective reasons, like...
Yeah, especially with your videos being it's been a bit, but that's how your videos are usually structured, right? Like you're looking at the mechanics and you're kind of being very not objective, but you're I don't know. Yeah. Fuck.
I'm trying
You have a very mechanical mind, I guess.
Yeah,
when it comes to game critique, and like Sonic just doesn't benefit from that.
I guess I am trying to distill why. At least if I was talking about a good game, right, I would be trying to distill why something works in context and distill it in a way where it's like, oh, maybe a similar game would benefit from this same mechanic, this same idea. Whereas with Sonic, it's like, I don't think anyone should make Sonic, like it's this fluke. And I know that there have been a few fan games. I've never played Freedom Planet. I've never played that, but that is
familiar.
It is a 2D indie game that has the same sort of Sonic momentum based high speed platforming. And I've never played it. I ideally hope that it is good. I might get around to it one day. But I would certainly not, if I were making a game, I would absolutely not be setting out to make a Sonic game, because I just cannot I don't think I could like write it out on paper what I think would make that game good.
Yeah. Where do I fucking... Yeah. I mean, I think you... Yeah, I don't know if you could like completely recreate a Sonic game, but I feel like if you wanted to make a game about speed that... I don't know, it'd almost be like a rhythm game or something. I'm trying to think. Like... Yeah, I think you could make maybe a rhythm game. Almost like... What's... You made the game on... You made a video on this platformer with the shapes that like... that when you... Like it's music based. And you, like, jump
140.
Yeah, 140. Like I feel like if you like did that with speed or something, like that could work almost. Like maybe strip it down or something. It wouldn't be the exact same. Sonic is is an amalgamation of a lot of weird different shit.
Yes.
But I feel like if you wanted to get to like some sort of kernel of speed and simplicity and like satisfaction, I think you could do that. But it wouldn't look necessarily a lot like a Sonic game.
I think that kind of is what Sonic Generations 3D stages are in a way. Yep. For me, right? Like they are kind of like it's a rhythm game without music. It's like there is sort of a perfect way to play a Sonic Generations level.
Yeah.
And like speedrunners have to hit the button on the exact correct frame, and that's one.
So it's a rhythm, like I guess.
That's one thing, right? Like that's really comparable to Guitar Hero, because it's like you just have to hit the button at the exact right time. But Sonic Generations is like you have a window to hit the button that might be 3 seconds or whatever, but because there's the different paths, like fast, medium, and slow, depending on how well you're doing, to stay on that top path is basically, that's all that you have to do, right? Like you to feel like you've gone as fast as possible, you don't have to actually be the speedrunning world record. You just have to stay on that top path the whole way and like know how to do that. And so, yeah, I've throughout the years, plenty of people have said that Sonic taps into the speedrunning urge for people who aren't good enough to actually speedrun things. But, and I hesitate to like agree with that, but I think that there is some truth to it where it's like, it is almost, it's a rhythm game without music. It's like you hit the button at the right time and the game goes, well done. You know?
Yeah. You keep going. You don't flub the guitar lick and hear like the bam, like you actually hear the note play and stuff like
Which is, again, different from a Mario game or Sonic 1 with its slow platforming, because like a Mario game is not hit the button at the right time. It's hit the button with the correct amount of finesse, which is a completely different thing, right? Like ultimately.
Oh yeah, like playing Sonic does not feel like playing Mario whatsoever. Like no, in every regard. Like besides the fact that you are a person who jumps and moves left and right.
Yeah. Can't wait for the Sonic movie where Sonic is voiced by whatever funny joke this can be. I don't know. I was doing like a Chris Pratt as Mario thing, but I couldn't come up with someone fast enough.
Well, there's like
who would be funny to play a hedgehog? I don't know. Probably I can't come up with a funnier joke than Chris Pratt playing an Italian.
Like Sonic, it can't be anyone, but like fucking Russell Crowe, fucking I don't know, The Rock,
Willem Dafoe,
actually. See, that would just be good.
It would too, yeah.
Like either you think of character actors and you want to hear it. Like that's why Chris Pratt is like the funniest, because it's like it's so boring. Like Chris fucking Pratt, he played the Lego guy because his voice is such an everyman. Like that's the point.
Yeah,
like,
it's the Nolan North of film actors. Yeah.
Wow, shit. Is he the Nolan North of film actors? I feel like there's more of a Nolan North, but
I mean, who's in everything?
The Rock.
Yeah, you're right. The Rock is.
Or maybe I was gonna say Ryan Reynolds. That right now.
No, yeah, that's a good point. But I think it is The Rock that is the Nolan North of film.
I'm trying to think. What else is there to say about Sonic? I have other thoughts, I believe. It's such a simple series, though. It's hard to really talk about in depth. Although I feel like if I wanted to talk about it, like my inclination is to make a disgusting 8-hour video. Not that I would ever do this, but like an 8-hour video where it's like you're looking at every level and you're like, all right, so here's lane 1, the fastest lane on this level, and then you compare them all. Like that's how it feels like I would need to know these things to perfectly understand it, but I never want to put in the effort, and I don't think it's worth it, or the games are that enjoyable to play to even attempt that.
As you say, Mario has that core ethos of introduce something, escalate it, and then twist it, and it's kind of, that's not every Mario level actually, but that is that is the thing that guides the design. And with Sonic, it's if you put go, dear listener, go do this. Google the level map for I don't know, fucking, what's the third level in Sonic 2? Aquatic Ocean, Aquatic Ruin. Go put up the level map for Aquatic Ruin against Starlight Speedway, and what the fuck? Starlight Speedway is the weirdest. That's the one. It's in Mania. It's the one with the stars. Obviously, fucking what?
Wait, what's it called?
Starlight Speedway. It's got a purple background and stars, and that level is just what, I know that it's a Sonic CD level, and that game is fucking weird, but you can't
Oh yeah.
you can't disagree with me. You can't disagree with me on this, right? No matter who you are, you have to be able to admit Sonic Mania, a game with Chemical Plant Zone and Starlight Speedway, like that is just, there is no level design ethos at that point, right? like the only consistency,
no unified one, yeah.
The only consistency there is that you're playing as Sonic. Like those levels
you have the same mechanics.
Yes, yeah. Exactly. Like there is no unifying quality there. And I think that's kind of that's the core point, isn't it? It's like, no wonder Sonic has floundered forever, and every time they get something right, they move on to something shit, because it's never had a sort of unifying ethos to its design beyond the guy can go fast.
Yeah, right.
God, like Sonic Lost World, like what were you thinking? Generations was so good. And then Sonic Lost World is this fucking...
Is that like the Galaxy?
That's the Galaxy ripoff one, yeah.
Yeah.
What were they...
What were they thinking?
What were they thinking? I'm gonna shit my ass.
I'm gonna shit on my ass and kill Bugs Bunny. What the fuck?
That's just reminded me that we didn't talk about CD. Did you play CD?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
I enjoyed CD for the most part. I mean, the music is fucking good. So I really like that sort of 90s like dance music.
Yes,
I guess
house 90s house is yeah.
That's most of what I remember. I remember some of the levels being pretty large, and like one of the later ones, like you're flinging your maybe annoying. Yeah, the last level was fucked up. that had me. I was dying so much to that last final level before the boss.
The one that's flinging you everywhere is the wacky workbench.
Okay.
I despise that level. Like, okay, so Sonic CD. I guess it's okay that this comes later in the video instead of at the start, because in the podcast, because Sonic CD is fucking weird and completely different from all, like, the other three are like comparable with differences, and then Sonic CD is just like a completely different, like, what happened, you know? Like,
yeah. Well, I guess it was being made like simultaneously, maybe with two, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah, so and like
that
it was,
might be what happened. Yeah.
I mean, it was just like some guy had an idea, and he's like, "Well, I got my own idea what this shit should be."
And Sonic CD is weird because it's like it just flies in the face of the way that all the other 2D Sonic games are designed, including Mania, apart from when it has a CD level. But Sonic CD is like, the levels are not focused on getting to the end. Like, they're not levels built with the primary goal being put some obstacles in a player's way from left to right between them and the end. Like, CD is designed for exploration. And
they're very sprawling levels, it feels like, to me at least.
Which there is, like, there's a reason for that. It's that you destroy you go back to the past and you destroy the generator things and make a good future, as the game insists on telling you.
Which I had no idea that's what it was. I didn't do shit. I got a bad ending, I think.
Right. Yeah. And so those levels are designed so that you can perform that weird thing where you travel to the past by running fast enough for long enough.
Yeah, right.
And it's so weird. It's like there's nothing inherently wrong with that, but because every other Sonic game was designed as a left to right platformer, CD is this strange outlier, which is like a completely different game that just has the same mechanics, or has the same movement mechanics, I should say. And I hate CD myself, but
really,
like I can understand that in another world that might have just been what Sonic was. You know, you like fast, large level exploration, and that's kind of what they're doing with Frontiers.
Oh my god, it's the Sonic CD. I'm gonna make that video. Sonic CD 2. My stupid face on the front.
And like CD, it's almost hard to find something to say about it because it's so different. It's frustrating because you can't play it like any other 2D Sonic. It's like too slow and blocks you at every turn because it wants you to be doing the time travel thing and exploring the levels and that game. That's a weird, it's a strange game.
Yeah. I did have sort of, I mean, there was the music, and also it ran a lot better than the emulation I was doing. So there was like just that immediate gratification of like, holy shit, this is smooth. I can when I get hit, the frame rate isn't 2.
Okay. Interesting.
You know, I mean, that's not that big of a deal, but my vision is clouded by having played all of these games in quick succession, I guess. And I just thought the art style was interesting. I don't know. I just, in terms of the spectacle, I enjoyed CD for what it was. Even if, it's not, it's not like 2 or whatever, but I guess I don't have that bias. I don't know how I feel about all of these games in general. So
it is a really interesting game, like in the same way that fucking Michael Jackson's Moonwalker is an interesting game. It's like
I feel like it's probably more playable than that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. It is more playable. Maybe that's not the best example. I'm just trying to think of like, there's
gotta be like a weird sequel in a series or whatever,
Some types of game design now are very codified. Like a 2D, we kind of understand what a 2D platformer is, and every so often something can come along and be like, oh, but a 2D platformer could also be like this, and that's
and like
one
they changed
thing.
One little aspect. Yeah,
that's one thing. But back then, there's plenty of examples of games where like. Maybe Echo the Dolphin is a good one. Like, there's plenty of games where designers didn't have anything to go off yet, and were just like, what if this was a game? Let's just try it. Like, and that's partially because like, back then a game took 8 people a year to make. But like, there wasn't the precedent yet. And I think this also happened at the start of 3D. There wasn't any precedent yet, so people made shit games that were but they were shit, but like in a way that no other game ever was again, because they were just trying something new. And CD very much feels like that to me. It's like what if we completely uprooted what Sonic 1 was and did something entirely different? We did like, we did like mini tiny little Metroidvania levels, except that we tried to integrate the speed into it a little bit with the time travel, but then we also kept the act structure of the first game so that each level can only be so big. And then also didn't mandate at all that the player does any of that. Like, you can, the win state is still just get to the end.
Yeah, that's why it's a weird, like, I didn't do the past or future stuff really. Like, it would accidentally happen and I would just be like, well, I'm gonna just keep going. Like, I didn't know what the goal of that was. So it was a kind of unsatisfying, like, just A to B kind of game. Yeah.
And I think that the like, I say that Sonic CD is about exploration more so than the others, but I think that the special stages do kind of indicate something as well, right? Like, in Sonic 1, the special stages are just get to the end with 50 rings, and that's like, okay, that makes sense because it's a fairly slow platformer where you are quite likely to get hit by things, and so you just, the challenge is get to the end without being hit. Or not getting hit much. And then in Sonic 2, they shift to pass a checkpoint with 50 rings, and that is like, that's sort of like, okay, here's a spot you were already going, you can get into it through there, and you can get into them faster because you don't have to wait till the end of the level, right? Like, you can collect 50 rings, and then as soon as you hit the next checkpoint, you can jump into one and not risk your rings for as long. And I think I think that evidences that they wanted you to go faster, right? They identified that the levels in Sonic 2 encourage you to go faster for longer. And then...
And that could mean it's riskier, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you the payoff comes more often because you're playing in a more risky way than Sonic 1.
Yeah.
And then in Sonic 3, I was saying that the level design kind of slows you down once in a while to give you a little something to do and then speeds you back up. And in Sonic 3, that game's special stages are also kind of about exploration, right? Like, you jump into the big ring, and you have to find a big ring, and there's a limited number of big rings, and they have nothing to do with your with how well you're performing in the game, because they don't depend on you having 50 rings. They encourage you to slow down and actually explore the level quite thoroughly. But the difference with CD is that the levels are still designed like normal 2D platformer stages. It's just that they kind of encourage you to play them fairly slowly so that you can stop and jump into a special stage wherever you suspect there might be one hidden.
What are the special stages in CD?
So in CD, I would say that the goal that the levels are pushing you towards is hitting the generators in each level, but that's not a special stage. It's just you travel to the past and hit it. The special stages are collect 50 rings and get to the end.
Oh, is that okay? I probably didn't do that ever. Never saw that shit.
And I don't really know what that says about that game. I think that I don't really want to think about that too hard, because it probably just says that they didn't change it after Sonic 1.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that deep. And then what does Mania do? Mania has the big rings in each level again, which I think is suitable because most of Mania's levels feel like CD or 3 levels. So I think that makes sense that they chose that.
That game also has the checkpoint special levels too, right?
It does. You're right, but they're not. So
it's like it's got both.
They're not the special stages. They're like, they just give you little. They give you like a shield.
Tokens?
Yes. Yeah.
What is that?
Oh no! Yeah, I remember. That's so Sonic Mania boots you into a fucking blue sphere stage every single time you run past a checkpoint with some rings, doesn't it?
I know. Yeah,
that's
fucking annoying.
That I don't understand at all, because that just brings the whole game to a screeching halt every time you do it. Like, oh my God. I understand that they wanted to include blue sphere somewhere because it's like iconic, I guess. But that I don't understand that one at all. It's like, oh yeah, I'm just playing my fast Sonic game and I'm gonna jump in here. Oh, I'm gonna be in here for like 3 minutes. Like,
it was miserable. I had to stop. And I wasn't getting Chaos Emeralds. I don't know what I was getting, so I was like, I'm good.
Yeah, it does. It just gives you tokens, which are like, I guess you unlock. I think you unlock a mode where you can have Knuckles follow you regardless of what character you're playing as, or something like that. I think that's what it is.
Okay, that's kind of cool, I guess. I don't know. I'd have to replay the game to enjoy that.
Knuckles and Knuckles.
Okay, that's kind of neat. That's kind of sexy. Something else I wanted to note about, I guess, the level design, or just sort of like a lot of the gimmicks. This is random. This is like kind of unrelated to what we're talking about. I just wanted to have it be said. I was telling my friend, my friend, one of my close friends, Matt, he grew up with Sonic. He's a big Sonic guy, and I've always like given him shit for liking Sonic. So he was like happy that I was playing all of them in a month. But I was telling him, I was like, I feel like a lot of the levels, like especially when it comes to like the unique sort of gimmicks of the level, like they all kind of just boil down to a thing that makes you go fast. Like, aesthetically it's different, but like, what's the difference between like the Hot Wheels spinner thing and then like the gears in certain levels that like kind of lift you up and then you're running on them and then they like let you loose? Like, there's no, a lot of these things are just the same with a different coat of paint, right? Like, it feels like a lot of the gimmicks don't, it's an aesthetic difference, and like there's maybe some light game feel differences, but like in general, even the stuff in the levels isn't that unique. I don't know if you agree or disagree or not, but yeah, or even like what were we talking about, the Sonic Mania level, the Stardust Speedway Zone. So in this level, to try and describe it to the audience, there are these like almost pea pods. Like, imagine a string of pea pods, and sometimes you go walk past them and it's basically a bridge that like unfolds before you, but like that's not, like, there's nothing unique to do with it. It just looks kind of cool that yes, like this string of pea pods is bending for you. Or like there'll be pea pods in a corner, and like if you like jump at it the right way, it kind of bounces you, and it's like that's just a bounce pad. That's just like a different looking bounce pad. Like, yes, there are like maybe 3 or 4 different types of objects in these games, and they just have a different skin on them, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Like there's bounce pads, there's speeder, I don't know what to fucking call them, speed boosts. There's grabbies where you're kind of hanging from them.
Yeah.
And there's probably 1 or 2 other classifications you can make, but those are the big ones off the top of my head. Platforms that move.
Yeah.
That's kind of one. Like the ones where you like, they're almost like feet, and you like jump from one leg to the other and it keeps moving. That's
yeah,
kind of
there
its
is
own.
that. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah. But like, those are constantly repeated. Like, it's just they have a different coat of paint.
Yes, absolutely.
So no level has like its own genuinely unique thing. I mean, that's a lie. Obviously, there's fucking 7 of these games, but for the most part, they're using a lot of the same tools and just sprucing them up.
Yes, I think that I've seen a video on this somewhere, I'm pretty sure, and I just cannot remember what it is, but it's like, it was making the argument that Sonic has that exact problem of everything gets a fresh coat of paint once in a while. Like, every level, even if the gimmick behaves exactly the same, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Because these games are given a big budget and expected to look nice, like every single level, everything gets overhauled, but only on the aesthetic side. And I'm butchering the argument that I'm remembering from whatever video this was, but it's just like the game design of Sonic is way secondary to the aesthetics of it, and that it sounds good and it looks good and it feels nice to play, and like it's all sort of like all of the surface level stuff is always fantastic. You know, like apart from Sonic 06, like name me a time that these games didn't look really good. You know, like Frontiers looks like it's gonna not look good, but
I'm not partial to the 3D look, at least especially in terms of animation. I feel like they've not done ever a great job of bridging that, like having Sonic look smooth and not like a jerky mess. But otherwise, yeah, like they're at least pleasant looking.
Yeah,
the 3D ones,
yeah. I wish I could remember this point better, but it's sort of just. It might have been a video about Sonic Forces.
Okay.
Oh man,
were they applying it to the 3D design as well? Like it's not just the 2D games they were talking about.
Yeah, they were. It was kind of saying like Sonic Forces is this. At times it can actually be quite pretty, Sonic Forces. It's like this immaculately presented but absolutely vapid game. Like it's got so much money behind it, and the engine that it runs on just like is fantastic. The Hedgehog engine, but the gameplay in that game just is this empty. It feel like Sonic Forces. I have played that once, and it feels like a Flash game from the early 2000s. Like,
wow,
it feels like it, in the sense that, you know how like, I'm going to use this example because I remember playing it with my dad, but you know how in the early 2000s every single movie had to have a Flash platformer on the official website. You know, I remember a Toy Story one in particular.
Oh, real? Not the SNES
no.
platformer. This is its own thing.
Yeah, I specifically remember this Flash platformer for Toy Story. It must have been Toy Story 2 because I wasn't born for Toy Story 1. But like those games were perfectly serviceable for like a tiny little child to, you know, you wait 5 minutes for your dial-up connection to sort of load it, and then it's like perfectly serviceable, but you know that really it was just all slapped together with no thought at all, because it's just this little promotional thing. Like nobody was applying game design chops to that. And Sonic Forces feels exactly the same way. It's like this AAA spit and shine, nice looking game with just nothing of any value to contribute as a gameplay experience. It's devoid of, it's not bad, but it's like devoid of anything sort of structural or any identifiable sort of thought. It's like even if you just
and it doesn't have the satisfaction of like what you like in a Sonic game.
No.
Okay.
And as I say again, like Sonic Forces in every way was clearly aimed at young children and others who wanted to make their persona, I guess.
Yeah.
And so I don't really begrudge them that. Like, if Sonic Frontiers comes out and it's clearly, like, made for children and only children, you know, like it's baby's first open world Breath of the Wild type, you know, open space exploration game. If it is that, and they're just moving that direction with Sonic, and it's like, it's not offensively bad, but there's just nothing to remark on either, I don't really begrudge them that. I think that I'm fine with Sonic just being a kid's game.
Yeah.
You know? I mourn for Sonic Generations where it was just, like, good by any standard.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, like, you know, I'm certainly not going to play it. Like, like,
yeah,
I don't see any reality in which I play Sonic Frontiers unless, like, my closest friends tell me, no, it's like Game of the Year.
Cool. Dude, it's like Breath of the Wild and Mario had a baby. It's fucking beautiful. Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild. Come on. You know it's going to be good.
I didn't like Breath of the Wild, so, like, stop listening.
Come on. You liked it.
No.
You don't have to lie. You don't have to look cool in front of your friends. You loved it.
Yeah, I love being able to go everywhere and climb a cliff face with nothing happening for 2 minutes straight.
So you don't like rock wall climbing simulator?
Are there rock wall climbing simulators apart from Breath of the Wild?
There is a VR game, but that's probably less not very free.
No,
not very free for a rock wall climbing game.
I'm gonna start describing every VR game as not very free.
Not very free, a little restrictive. Yeah, Sonic. I think we have to sort of accept, or maybe you're probably in a space where it's like things can be for kids, and that's fine, even though it was part of our childhood. Like, these things don't have to grow up with us. Like, we're good. Like, let's move on.
Yep.
And you can replay the old ones and, you know, have a sense of mastery over I mean, not that you're like, you know, speedrunning them or whatever, but at least you can get through them quick and still have a decent time. I just, are kids playing Sonic? That's a question I'm wondering. Like, I don't, like, I've got a niece and nephew and they've never talked about Sonic ever, you know. I mean, but they like Fortnite. My niece likes Animal Crossing, and like other, I guess, probably Roblox and stuff like that. But yeah, I've never heard them really talk about. They probably know who Sonic is because they're on the internet enough and he's memed. But like, they're not like, let's play fucking Sonic Frontiers.
Yeah, I guess it's like there's an age where you can give a tiny little kid a plush toy of Sonic and they'll love it just because he's visually appealing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But then there gets to an age where, like, he has to be in the cultural zeitgeist, like as you say, like Fortnite is the perfect example, right? Like,
right.
There gets into an age as a kid where the thing that you like, you're not going to start liking something unless it's around and culturally present,
or your older sibling or parent is playing it and you are close with them and want to do stuff with them.
Yeah.
And like, so you end up playing it. Yeah.
And so, yeah, I don't really know. I don't have a perspective on like how visible Sonic is to children. I guess there's just been 2 Sonic movies that did surprisingly well. So, yeah.
So maybe I forgot about that. Yeah, I've seen both of them in theaters. But yeah, I forgot.
How were they? I guess
I mean, it's that like you said about the games. Like, oh, these are kids things. These are kids movies.
Yeah.
Like, so I can't be mad at it. Like, I have no stakes involved. I'm just like, oh, that's whatever. It's fine.
Was it fun to see Jim Carrey do Jim Carrey again?
It was all right.
Okay.
I'm not that into Jim Carrey, I guess. Maybe as a kid I was. Like The Mask and Liar Liar I really liked, but yeah, I'm not like, oh my god, he's back. The King Carrey. What do people call him? Fucking King Carrey. King K. I don't know. Yeah, I don't have this reverence for Jim Carrey besides like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
I do,
but yeah, it was neat.
Yeah, I do really like. I do like Ace Ventura. Problematic parts of it aside, and there are a lot of them. In the first one, in particular, it's pretty much all that. But
I mean, the scene where he's climbing out of the rhinoceros's ass is like, I'll never forget that. You know?
Yeah, and that part where he's like, if I'm not back in 5 minutes, just wait longer, is like my favorite fucking joke of all time. It's so stupid.
Yes. But yeah. I mean, I don't know. I wish I could, like, I almost want to be a teacher just so I could, like, on a monthly or like yearly basis, just pull kids and be like, what media do you consume? I just want to know, like, what the fuck they're doing, you know?
And they're like,
that's the best way.
Please let go.
What? I'm just handing out a piece of paper. Just write down your favorite movie and video game, and that's it. God damn you.
No.
Jacob.
No. No, I won't.
But yeah.
Well, man, you know...
And yeah.
You know, how old was I in 2013? I was fucking hell, I was 15 or 16 years old. I still bought Sonic Lost World sight unseen.
Dude.
Like this will, like, surely this will be good. This is Sonic. Like, I was still in that mindset in my teens. Like, I'm clearly I'm not embarrassed to admit, but I'm kind of shocked to realize that I was that old.
That's, I don't know, that you liked Generations.
Well,
what was that 2009 or 2010?
I feel like I would have bought that bad Sonic Boom game at the time, though.
Oh,
like I was still in that, like, franchise loyalty kind of mindset.
Yeah. Like, was that a thing with other things too? And if you can, if there's anything notable, or maybe Sonic is just it. It was the unique one.
I guess probably Ratchet and Clank. Like, I remember playing. I remember forcing myself through that terrible 4-player co-op Ratchet game. Like, I remember hating every moment of it, but I had to. I felt I should. Like, I really, you know, because I do. I still love most of the Ratchet and Clank games. There's like 2 or 3 bad ones in there, but the remake, cough. But yeah, I've definitely had series where I used to feel that way, and I'm sure that there's still some things that I would buy sight unseen, like an Ace Attorney game. I would probably just buy it and see what I thought, even if I heard it was bad. You know.
For me, that's Bayonetta 3.
I
don't care. I'm pre-ordering it.
It could be bad.
I don't give a shit.
It could be bad.
It could be.
It could.
I don't care.
I have a surprising amount of doubt that it will be good.
Wow.
Yeah. I haven't really
Don't take this from me.
thought about this. I haven't really thought about this very hard, but like, I am apprehensive.
You know, I'm afraid because I have such a deep love for 1 and 2. I'm a casual.
Yeah.
I like 2.
Yeah.
That I'm like 3 can't be good, right? I mean, the voice actress is gone. Fucking yeah, I don't know. It's too good to be true that it even exists. So yeah, but I'm buy it. I don't care.
I never loved Bayonetta in the first place, I suppose. So I'm not the authority.
Yeah. We don't have to get into this. This is gonna be a podcast episode anyway. I'm gonna talk about Bayonetta at some point.
All right.
So
well,
no spoilers for that.
No, but I hope that you talk to someone who likes it more than me, or alternatively
I think so.
hates it with a burning passion. That would be really interesting.
I couldn't do that.
No,
I'm too afraid. They would just tear me a new asshole, and I'm like, I agree. I hate it. I fucking hate them. I'm sorry.
I actually like 2 more than 1 because of how much of a casual I am. I'm willing to admit that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That I have not replayed 2. I've only played it the one time through when I bought it in like 2015. I forget what year that was. It was so long ago.
Yeah.
So I need to retry that. Anyway, any extra thoughts on Sonic? Anything else you want to say about it? I feel like we've covered basically what we can cover without going in depth on levels and trying to fucking go deep dive analysis, because I don't have the notes for it. 2, I don't have the memory for it. 3, I don't have the patience for it. So
what about just some quick fire hot takes on Sonic?
That's a good question. I like, I don't know, whatever. I like the one level in 3, I think, or Knuckles, I don't know, where it's like the Egyptian one, and like you have to get through and like keep the ghosts from getting you. That's basically Donkey Kong Country, though I think those games came out at the same year, so like no one stole from each other. And because like Donkey Kong Country have like the lights that turn like red, and you have to turn them green or whatever. I like that level. Hot take. I don't know what people think of that one.
Have you played any Sonic games other than these ones?
So 06. Again, only the Sonic campaign.
Yeah.
I think we started Shadow and we just got pissed. I've watched my friend play through Adventure 2, but that was in like 2011. That's pretty much it. I've not experienced too much. I guess I've seen a little bit of Sonic Adventure 1 because the killer, the orca is like stuck in my head. Like that's such an iconic moment.
Yeah.
Running away from the killer whale. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like this was the most dense, concentrated dosage of Sonic I've ever gotten. And I'm like, I'm kind of glad that I like. I mean, I like having this context now, and tasting some gaming history. I'm very bad at playing retro games in terms of just like getting to them. So this, I appreciate it. Getting schooled a little bit on what these games are like, and not just having my, predisposed biases. But I'd always play them. I'm like, they pretend that you can go fast, but really you're stopping all the time. And like, it is true, actually. I can confirm it. I stopped a lot, and it really pissed me the fuck off in certain levels. But yeah. So this is the most Sonic, that I've ever had.
I think the only other thing that comes to mind when you say that is Adventure 2's Sonic and Shadow levels, I think, are quite appealing for similar-ish reasons to Generations.
Uh-huh.
Like, you can go really fast in those if you know what you're doing, and it has that added appeal of, like, the physics in that game in Adventure 2 are really whack, and so you can like skip you can skip big chunks of levels just by doing a really well placed spin dash off of something, and I quite like that. It's like that it's like you're almost speedrunning, except you're not, because like that game's speedrun is absolutely fucking off everything.
Yeah.
Like
if any average Joe can do like some weird little skips, it's like imagine what a pro can actually accomplish.
Yeah, but I like doing a weird little skip. I'm a weird little guy, and I like a weird little skip. You know.
Yeah, you're like a little Danny DeVito when it comes to Sonic. You're just like a little fucker. Any hot takes you have beyond all of the things you've said today?
Jim Sterling was right about Sonic Colors. It fucking sucks.
Yeah.
I've
never played.
They were the only one to get it right when that game first came out, and some people hate that game now, but James, they were the only one to just see from the off what that game was trying to get over on them.
Yeah.
3 out of 10. I completely agree. Sonic Colors,
wow.
fucking ass.
Was that like a Destructoid review or some shit?
It was probably when they were still at Destructoid. Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's my Sonic hot take.
Colors is bad.
Colors is bad. And I'm not elaborating.
Cool.
Good day.
Well, if that's everything, I don't have anything more to say. I think those were all the thoughts I could muster.
Yeah. And now I can never think about Sonic ever again.
That's probably what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
I'm pretty good. You've given me these ideas, and now I kind of want to replay 2 and 3 and see those differences. But I'll wait. I'll put that off, and then I'll make the video and steal your idea to get 1,000.
I mean, more. Yeah, good luck. More power to you. Like you're good. You're welcome.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, thank you, Jacob, for speaking with me tonight, or this afternoon for you. Yeah. You're not doing anything like making videos or anything, right?
No.
You're just a normal guy now.
I have.
You're free.
Yeah. I am a normal little guy in my normal little home. Eating normal little food.
Shit.
And doing normal little things.
Wow. See, we could all be living that life.
Exactly. That's what I keep telling. That's what I keep telling people. Like, YouTuber, really? After all this.
Yeah, right. After all the bullshit you've gone through.
After all the Smash tournaments.
The Smash tournaments?
No. Don't worry. Cut it there.
Okay. All right, everyone. Have a good life. That was Sonic. Next time, if I release these in the right order, next time I'm talking about Batman Arkham Asylum with James Hot Cider. So yeah, stay tuned for that. I don't know. I'm probably just gonna release these as quick as I can because the monthly thing didn't work out. So fuck it. Thank you again, Jake, and see y'all next time. Here comes the music.
Have a good life.
Huh. That beat.
Oh.
There's a beat playing.
Okay.
Yeah, in the edit.
Yeah. hear it.